guys. Nick's looking at me like, "What? I don't have a question just yet." Well, no worries if you guys, no worries if you guys don't. I can talk to fill the air until we get somebody brave that's ready to go. Um, it's like it's like anything else. You always have to get somebody to prime the pump or what have you. The one interesting thing that I would say that we do that nobody probably is aware of is that we have now a full-blown in-house marketing agency, and it's an in-house marketing agency that only does work for our clients. And we sort of realized that as we've matured as a business, and I think we're now up to a little bit over 6,200 customers. I'd say about 80% of our customers have full-time jobs, and they just do. They have full-time jobs, or they're service-based photographers trying to grow the print, fine art print portion of the business, right? Um, so we now have a full blown agency that's just about into its second year. I think like a year and a month or two old, and that's been a really interesting journey too. Because what we're attempting to do is say, okay, every single solitary person on this Zoom call, maybe aside from one or two, their deepest, darkest desire is just to create the work and not have to do anything else. That's all you guys want to do. I just want to create the thing. If somebody else can just go market and sell the thing, that would be awesome. And while that sounds wonderful in principle, it doesn't exist in reality. You have to do the business side. You have to do the marketing side. So it's helpful when you can get a little help for that, right? So Greg's asking an interesting question. I get this all the time. How many hours a week will we spend on the marketing stuff? About, or how much do you recommend? It's sort of a crystal ball question, and I'll unmute you, Greg, in case you have a follow-up. It's sort of a crystal ball question in the sense that how many hours a week until what? Until the business is profitable, until the business explodes, until you're making six figures a year, until you make your first $1,000. It's a version of what I call a crystal ball question, but it's actually less about how many hours a week you spend doing it, and it's more about how doing so consistently. Like the 95% of artists and photographers that I talk to treat their marketing like they treat a New Year's resolution, right? You sign up for that gym membership in January and you're going 4 days a week for a couple of weeks in January. Next thing you know, it starts getting colder in February and you're going once a month, right? And then you give up for how long? And then you get fired up again to do it again, some other time of the year. Almost no one does it consistently week after week after week after week, because you have to fight through a bunch of points where things don't feel like they're moving at all. And unless you have somebody holding your hand a little bit saying, don't worry, we've all been at that spot. You got to just grind and push through this thing. You keep working at it, and you get there. So there's no exact hours, Greg, but what I found is, especially early on, and I don't know if you're just getting started or you're not getting started or you're a couple years into it, it's less about how many sales you make and more about like what is your emotional reservoir filled up, kind of like all entrepreneurs. And what I usually find is like, we encourage you to keep working and grinding at it. And somewhere in the early months, sometimes it happens in the first couple of weeks, sometimes it happens in the first couple of months, you'll end up getting some sort of like significant win. And it can be big sales, or it could be a commission, or you get featured, or you're starting to work with an interior designer, and then all of a sudden I see you spending more hours a week than you said you even had available, right? Because you're filled up and you're charged up. But there's no easy answer to the question. Did that long-winded one answer it though, Greg? I unmuted you, Greg. I don't know if it looked like you did. It looked like you unmuted. I don't know if you're there or not. Okay, Greg said that self. I'm gonna put you back on mute. Ooh, Keith's got a legal question. Don't worry. Do I need to pay that? Yeah. So Keith's got an interesting question about, it's like image use rights, right? At the end of the day, and I'll unmute you too, Keith, in case you have a follow-up. Early on, there's all these types of questions about like, can I sell this or can I sell that, or can I, I'm photographed rock stars. Can I sell images of their likeness, right? It's super charcoal gray area. Our official policy as a company is we don't care what you sell, but if we get a legal takedown notice, we'll take the art down. So as long as you assume it's not legal advice, what I would do is work at it, start selling it, and then beg forgiveness when you get whacked down, if it happens, and just assume you probably have to change at that point. But it is such a charcoal gray area. There's people that we have on the platform, Keith, that are like selling a bunch of stuff, and I don't even think they should be legally getting away with selling the stuff, but they are. and it just works, and it's their business. I mean, it works, right? So that's what I would say.
All right. Thank you for answering that question.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was in the scope of the presentation, but I felt I need to ask because I have an idea on a book idea, and I just wanted to be sure it didn't cross any lines, or do I need to consult a lawyer for it beforehand?
Well, I would say if the book is print on demand and you can print one at a time, you're probably okay. But if you have to order 1,000 of them, I would probably consult a lawyer. Better safe than sorry in that case, I'd say.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Keith. Yeah, it's one of those. I mean, again, I'm not a lawyer, but how it normally plays out, it's like you ever hear that saying? It's easier to beg forgiveness than ask permission. That's something that applies in a lot of those situations that are a little bit charcoal gray. I mean, some of them are cut and dry, right? But it comes up with rock photographers all the time, especially for some reason. Like, I never signed anything. I never signed the rights away from my images. Can I sell my images, or am I profiting off someone's likeness? And from what I've seen shake out, if they didn't sign anything, usually they can get away with it. If they did sign something, somebody can come after them, and that's what ends up happening in that scenario. So that's what I would say. Well, what else, guys? Questions? It's Monday. Everyone's a little tired. Andy, I'm going to pick on you because your camera's on. Questions, Andy? Oh, there we go. See, that's what I'm talking about, Andy.
Yeah. Hey, thanks Patrick.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I think one question I have is the different types of media that we can sell. So I have a book of my art that I sell, and then I have digital images. I also have printed images, a whole bunch of different things. So I'm assuming they can all be sort of handled the same way through your platform.
Exactly. So we have like a whole suite of features that are geared to sell wall art, right? And that's clearly abundant for everything that you see, but it's also just an e-commerce store at the end of the day, right? I mean, you can sell merch in there. People sell books in there. People sell classes. They sell Zoom classes. They sell tours to the national parks. Like, you can put whatever you want in there. It literally can be anything. And, you can use a combination of automated fulfillment and self-fulfillment, meaning there's certain items that when an order comes in, you're required to print and ship because you're the one that has possession of it, kind of like an original. But then when you sell prints, those can be handled completely automatically, and so too merch. So you can literally sell anything. I mean, there's no rules.
Okay. Yeah, because I saw something about the virtual, what is it? The
wall preview.
Where it shows the art on the wall and stuff like that.
Yeah, 3D previews, yeah.
Okay. And then are these websites that you integrate with the ones we currently have, or we just basically start fresh?
Yeah, they're a replacement in most cases. I mean, there's some situations where, for instance, like, you've got a photographer that's got a huge stock portion of their business, or they're a commercial photographer. And here's the one I usually show. I can just show something that's helpful to see it visually. And you put the website on a subdomain, store dot or whatever. Like my buddy here, I'll show you. This guy's so cool. I actually love looking at his work anytime I can see it. Oh, if I could type his name correctly. So this guy, just to give you an example, he's like he's got a ton of stuff going on, right? He's like one of these guys that works for BBC and Nat Geo, and he's like the PhD biologist, and so he's got stuff going back years, projects, portfolios, motion, and then he actually does it. He didn't even do a subdomain. He did it like a click and go to a different store. And so this is his art storefront's installation where he sells his art. And then on the previous one is like, he's got a blog and a bunch of other stuff, which is really cool. So that's how he does it. But I think if your current existing URL on the site that's on it is not mapping to your business goals and is not driving revenue or solving some serious business purpose, then you don't need to have it. Like, it's not going to help you. And there's a bunch of features that we have that will help you. So I think that's usually the lens that we decide on, notwithstanding if you've had an old website for like 15 years and it gets a bunch of SEO traffic, right?
Right.
We might want to be a little careful there, but otherwise, yeah, it replaces it.
Okay, good. Well, and that's fine. I mean, I'm an artist, right? So one thing I did was build this website that looks nice and has all my images and stuff on it, but it doesn't do anything beyond,
I know.
beyond that. So
I know. I know. Do you know what's so funny is like everything we attempt to do digitally always goes back to what is the best way to do something in a retail capacity in the real world, right? And I've looked at so many different artists and photographers' websites I can't even begin to tell you, because what I'll do sometimes is I'll like do a deep dive data on everyone that fills out the forms on our site and puts in the websites.
Mm-hmm.
And the best art buying experience, okay, that exists, yes, it's in person, as I alluded to in the video, but what is it really? It's walking into an art gallery. It's walking into an art gallery. And when you walk into an art gallery, virtually every single solitary one in the world is the exact same. White walls, minimalism, art front and center, nothing else, right? Which is why our websites all look so similar, simple rather, and similar for that matter. You know, all white, unless somebody really wants to go black. The art up front and center, everything else fades away. So what do I look at when I see all these artist and photographer websites? Banners and fonts and 56 different colors and image sliders and every single solitary thing that is going to distract me to such a context, I'm never going to buy any art. So that's a huge problem. But the other problem is that no one's coming to the websites, and that's the far bigger of the two problems, right?
Right.
But
yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah. Always think like what works in a retail capacity, and then let's just copy it. And to be honest with you, that's why the live art shows work so well, because it's no different than me meeting up with you in person, right? It's no different than me, like what works best selling art in person, face to face. Well, if I come to your website, Andy, and you're like, hey, I've got a couple of pieces I can show you, let's jump on a Zoom call. And then you're showing me the pieces on a Zoom call. That's pretty damn close to the real thing, right? So that's what's just really, always think about what is the best way to do it in real life and get as close as you can. It's like a really good way to think about digital activities.
Right. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah. We could help you.
And I do have one more question.
Please.
And I know other people have questions. But when it comes to Instagram, and you were talking about gaining attention, and you know, I seem to have a ton of followers on Instagram. I get I get little interaction.
Yep.
Instagram to me is just a completely frustrating experience to begin with.
Yeah. What's your Instagram handle? Let me pull it up.
It's at Immortal Concepts.
Instagram.com Immortal Concepts. Let's see. Sometimes for some reason Chrome really loads buggy on mine. All right, so let's see. So 18,000 followers, awesome. Did you fake it, or did you get there for real?
Well, I think I faked some in the beginning because I didn't know what the hell it meant, and then but a lot of it is for real.
Yep. So this is cool. You do a bunch of cosplay stuff. What portion of the business is service-based, shooting the cosplay folk?
What's that? Say it again.
What portion of the business is shooting the cosplay folk, or is it all of it?
A lot of it, majority of it. But I don't, my goal is to sell the art as prints, or I have a book and stuff like that, not necessarily as commission work.
Okay. I don't like what I see going back a long ways here, but I do like some of the newer stuff. One of the biggest mistakes people make, artists, photographers, 90% of the people on this Zoom call, and the way that I like to frame it up is, let me ask you this way. If I hired you, Andy, to sell knives for me, door to door, when you rang the doorbell, what would you have in your hand?
I would assume a knife.
Yeah. You wouldn't have a picture of the knives, because if you did, it would be really damn hard to do. I want more pictures of whatever the hell it is that you're selling. If you're selling these, I need to see them, right? This is real. It has 3 dimensions. It goes on a wall. It's something I can covet. Like, you guys don't realize that us normal folk, non-creative types, do not have the powers of visualization that you guys have, right? You guys can see it as this beautiful image, as a piece on the wall, but we can't. So you have to show it. You have to show people holding it. So it's critically important. Now, what I like about your Instagram profile is it's not just, when you were down here, it was 2D image after 2D image, a lot of them, right? And you're showing some of your process, which I like, okay? With this few posts, it's not likely that you got to 18,000, right? Let me see on the videos. Okay, you have some videos. You're showing off a little bit of you, which I also like. But, and this is decent too. Like, hey, I can get an actual thing. It's not going to load because for some reason Chrome just doesn't like Instagram. But you need to mix some of that into your situation. I would like some more story highlights rather than just 2. I think your profile image is great. The fact that you can link out of stories because you're above 10,000 followers is a big deal. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, kind of. I don't know that I've ever done it, but
Yeah. It's easy and you can start doing it, but it's a benefit you have from having over 10,000 followers. But Instagram, despite the fact it frustrates you, you're just missing some things on the code and the code to get it working. And the fact that you already have that many followers will help you get there quicker.
okay. So I'm assuming that part of your guys' program, that's something that we work through. And
oh yeah, it's literally we are. I mean, I should say it's 50-50. It's not. It's like 90-10. We're 10% a website and 90% a postgraduate university art and photography business and marketing. Never stops.
Right.
Never ever stops. There's so much stuff to learn. An incredible amount of stuff to learn. But I want you to start going live on Instagram a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, my daughter tells me that too, and half the time I don't know what she's talking about.
Yep. I know. I'm supposed to be a social media expert, and even I'm having a hard time keeping up with it recently. It just moves so fast. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Well, I think one of the biggest, most frustrating things about Instagram too is that their life is lived on a screen this big, which I hate because my work tends to be bigger.
Yeah.
Bigger pieces. So that's another thing I need to sort of sort out.
Yes. Yeah, but it's not going to be as difficult as you think it is. It's really not.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think, you have a very diehard and dedicated customer base in cosplay. You're right. I mean, those people spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on costumes and long stays and going to all the conferences. I mean, so you have a very dedicated fan base. So there's a lot that you can tap into there, I think.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, Andy. All right. Alan had an interesting question. Alan, do you want to just say this again so everyone get an idea on it, or do you want me to read it out? And you'll have to unmute Alan if you want to. It's on the bottom left-hand corner.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can read it out.
Okay, great. You can go ahead.
Basically, will this work well if you're an event photographer and sell stuff prospectively online after the events? And I don't really have what I consider a portfolio of art to put up yet. Am I better to wait, or?
It's impossible for me to tell you it would be not better to wait because, how do you interpret that anything but cynically from the guy that's trying to get you to sign up for a website service? My problem with waiting is the minutes turn into hours, turn into days, turn into weeks, turn into months, and you haven't made any forward progress on anything, right? That's just always how it works. Like, I'll just get started when, and then you don't get any of the learnings that you would actually get that comes from when you do the marketing, which actually gets to work in front of real people's eyes, and then you get the feedback. And a lot of times you can go chasing down a path that you think is going to work, but you've never shown it to anyone, so you're not going to get any feedback, and then you're not going to know that it works. So let's go back to the event-based thing, though. So your goal now is do the event, upload all the images, let them come and buy prints of all the images, and add a revenue source that way. Do I have that correct?
Correct.
Okay. You certainly could. We're not like set up with, we have like password protection on the galleries, and don't get me wrong, I really, really like it for event and service-based photographers, because what I traditionally find every time I analyze one of those businesses is they're constantly just trading dollars for hours, right? I charge $1,000 a session. Okay, you got $1,000 a session, and then you don't you don't work or have the proper programs in place to also capture the print revenue, which is just sitting there waiting for you in a million different ways. I'll give you for an instance, okay? And I gotta kind of do the show and tell on it. So hold on. So there's five major media types that I believe like anyone selling prints, which should be everyone, has, and you need a textured fine art paper. Okay, this one looks a little circusy because I have a green screen, but you can show that off. Canvas, fine art, right? Edge-to-edge printing, you can show that off the way that it hangs. Metal, newest kid on the block, very sexy, very trendy. Acrylic, what I showed earlier, and wood, okay? And don't poo-poo wood. A lot of people actually like it. You see this stack here, okay? In samples is tiny. It fits on the side of my desk. I can show it all on a webcam. It should go with me everywhere I go in my car, and you should be the subject matter expert, right? And the analogy I always give, And I harass my buddy's wife on this one all the time because she's like our local, portrait photographer, and she like picks a spot, and we all have kids. And so she gets, one family after another, like every 20 minutes, like on one spot where she knows the lighting, and shoots an Easter card and the Christmas card and the holiday this, and, like fall photos. And I see her, and she's doing the retouching and everything else. And it's like, her name's Jessica. Jessica, all you're doing is trading dollars for hours. At a point, the value of your hour is going to peak. You're not going to be able to charge more than, let's just say, $500 a session. So if instead, when I showed up with my wife, and my wife's over there wrangling the kids and trying to get them to sit down and working on their hair and everything else, instead of me sitting in the back thumbing around on my phone, what if you had an assistant that had a little table set up with the fine vein media types and said, Patrick, just because you're getting the shoot today, I want to offer you a one-time discount that we have to get prints of any of this, that, and the other, right? And so you're selling prints in person. Then with our website and auto fulfillment process, you don't have to touch anything when the order comes in. The order comes in, they pay, you pay the printer, order gets printed, order gets shipped, you touch nothing, right? And then marketing in the future, this event was 5 years ago today. Do you want to order prints? I think that's a really, really good way to turn your $500 an hour rate into $850, $950. Right? And it happens almost automatically because everyone assumes, oh, they just want the images on a JPEG, and they're going to go to Costco or Walmart or whatever it is to get it printed. I don't want to go there. No one wants to go there. They want to be told what the awesome media types are and how can we get them, right? And then every once in a while, before Christmas, you send an email to that same list and you go, oh, by the way, Christmas is coming up. I know nobody likes buying extra gifts. Maybe it's for grandma or grandpa. They want a picture of somebody on the wall, right? Here's everything I have on offer. There's a sale. So I like those aspects of revenue opportunities for service-based photogs especially, that I find very, very few take advantage of. And so it would help out there right away. In terms of what you're going to sell for fine art, that takes some longer time to cook. But, it's nice to have both of those revenue sources kicking at the same time, or I guess you could say all three if you wanted to separate them, right? You have the revenue from trading the dollars for hours of doing the shoots. You have the additional revenue that's coming in on the printing. And then you're taking that time to also work on the fine art print portion of the revenue too. So that's always a great way to approach it in my estimation.
Yeah, I'm automated for residual sales at this point. My question would be, maybe it goes back to the last person you spoke with about mixing the two styles.
Totally no problem whatsoever mixing the two styles at all.
Okay.
The artist and the photographer is the brand just as much as the work is, number one. Number two, like the one piece of advice that all artists and photographers get from their well-intentioned friends that have been successful in other industries, you're never going to make it unless you pick a niche. You're really going to have to find a niche and narrow everything down to a niche. Once you do, then you stand a great chance at being successful. And in my experience of what I've seen over the last 7 years of doing this, or 6 and change, is I've seen every story imaginable emerge. I've seen people mix all of these various different styles and techniques and tactics together, and then 7 years later, they're still selling all of them. They're still selling all of them because it just works for them in their business. I've seen some people that launched with 2 or 3 different styles, and then after a couple of years, an 80-20 emerges in which 80% of their revenue is coming from 20% of their work. At that point in time, you kind of have a tough decision to make, right? Like, should I go all in on this style and drop the other stuff? But you'll never know until you start working on the marketing and getting the work out there and really trying to sell it. So early on, do not stress about it. Throw it all together and get at it. That's my advice.
And then the last question on that is are there different tiers? Can you start with?
Oh yeah.
Let's say I was opening a studio. I would not go out and buy a 50,000 foot studio right now. I might start with
absolutely
small.
Absolutely. And the good news is on all the plans, you get 100% of the education and the support and the marketing help, which is key. You can upgrade the software or downgrade the software at any point in time. So yes, 100%.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, makes it really handy, I think.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Alan. What goes? You're funny. You're funny there, Hip Ghost. I should have known with the little ghost avatar. Who else, guys? Questions? Comments? Concerns? All right. So, okay. There's one from. Yeah. How do we get pricing, Julio? Julio, you have to request a demo. That's just how we do things. The demo is like, it's like the 1 hour test drive of the car minus the cheesy salesman. You get to see all the behind the scenes stuff that we have on offer, all the bells, all the whistles, all the marketing help, all the everything. and it's one-on-one in a Zoom session, kind of like this. So they know all the plans, all the pricing, monthly, the packages, you know, the small ones you get. Yeah, Ivana, will you put a link in Zoom for Julio? And then he can click that. You can fill a simple form out. If you want, you don't even have to do that if you don't want it, Julio. If you want me to just have somebody contact you, I think we probably already have your email because you signed up for this. So you can let me know on that, how you go through the whole thing. I think actually, because it's the end of the month, it ends this week, I think, and we have a huge sale running right now that I think we're running one on Wednesday. This same time slot, actually, where they're just going to run one to the public rather than having to fill out the form or do anything. So that's also an option for you, Julio, if you want to check it out. But yeah, you don't have to fill out the form. We have your info, so we can follow up with you. So that's no problem at all. Yeah, Dave's asking, are images protected from right click? No. If an image is on the internet, it is not protected, period. Do we disable the ability to right click? Yeah, we do. Does that stop somebody that knows what they're doing? No, it doesn't, not even for a second. But what our system does do, Dave, is it dumbs down the resolution of the images such that they're not easy to reproduce. And to be honest with you, no one's even doing that anyway. Everyone talks about like, ooh, I wonder if that's happening, and that's a thing. It's not a thing. It does not happen, trust me. You don't have to worry about anyone stealing your images. This business is hard enough to make it as is, without worried about someone out there, you know, magically downloading your imagery and going out and making millions of dollars of it. It just doesn't happen. So one less thing to stress about. Yeah, you got nothing to worry about there. One of the things too that I'm going to send all of you guys that I don't make super public, but let me just go to, not that it's like a big secret, but one of the things I'm going to send you when I send you the show notes is I made a really cool guide, and let me get the Zoom window out of here. It's how to run live art shows, a 2022 guide, a quick start guide. Anyway, I give you all the reasons of why it's so insanely effective to do this. I give you some real artists that you can Google that have real shows, what their shows did, the exact followers they had on the various different social platforms when they ran them. There's sample videos of their show and what they look like, and people talking about how rad of an experience it was. And then down at the bottom of this page is download the guide. Send me the guide, please. And then I give you a really robust, like step-by-step tactical guide on how to do this. The equipment you need, inventory and pricing, how to get paid, where to stream the show, the actual show, how to announce the show, what to do after, plus some bonus content on there. So recommend that you check that out. Again, that'll be on the show notes page I send you as soon as this thing is over. So that's what I would say on that. Something to check out. So Keith's asking, can one protect their art if they put their logo on it? Yeah, you can watermark it, but it's not really going to make a difference. Like, you know, no one is really stealing art. They're just not. Julio is asking if do we upload full res images? Yes, you do. You upload full res images, and then those are the images that do not go anywhere but to the printer, okay? And only the printer has them so that they can reproduce the work, but none of those ever make it to the website. They're all on the back end. So, you know, it's just one of those myths. It's one of those myths that they tell you, like, oh, don't put your work online. Everyone's going to steal it and download it. Like, there's so many people that are sailing their yachts around the world saying, thank you, artists, for putting all your images up. This damn business is difficult to make it in to begin with. No one is doing that. It's complete nonsense. So don't stress on it. Don't stress on it. Yep, and I see you guys. I will send you guys the guide too. People are asking me for the guide on Facebook. Easy enough. Don't worry. I will put it in the comments, and you guys can get it. Yeah, I continue to be blown away, you guys, by the results that I'm seeing with these live art shows. I mean, it is without question one of these single solitary most effective sales and marketing techniques or tactics that has come around in this industry in forever. We have like a ton of technology that we're leveraging to do it on our websites too. We have these special pages, and you can set them up in 2 seconds, and it allows you to run a live art show, which is really, really cool. Yeah, really proud of them, actually. No, Julio's asking about file images. So you upload a certain resolution image, and let's just say, you know, whatever we have guides on how big you need to go. Our system will instantaneously compute based on the quality of the image how big a size you can reproduce the art. That image then gets stored in the back end of the website in your database, not facing the internet, not anywhere where anyone can download on it. And so the printer has it when you get an order. The stuff that goes on the website is, very low resolution. So you don't have anything to worry about there. And no, Julio, we don't integrate with any existing sites. Our technology is pretty customized and techy. So, yeah, and we have our customers market everything. I mean, they market originals, commissions, prints, the whole ball of wax, including, like I was telling Alan earlier, Andy earlier, that originals, books, classes, the vast, veritable cornucopia, if you like, of merch as well. Just a whole bunch of stuff all the time. So we do all of that. And I see your comment, Sherry. Thank you. Appreciate you for saying that. But what else? I mean, this is like the quietest bunch I've had literally in months. I can't believe you guys don't have more questions. Is it the weird sunglasses I'm wearing? Could be part of it. See, that's what I'm talking about, Jana. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Go, Jana. And you'll need to unmute. Pia's like, I'm sleepy.
Okay, tell me if you can hear me okay.
I sure can. I can hear you great.
Okay. I was wondering if a signature can ever ruin a painting on the front.
Ooh, like what writing implement or perceived value? Like physically ruin it, like the ink runs and like pokes a hole in it?
Well, let's just say the corner is pretty busy and you put it down. I mean, can you do it on the back? Is that okay?
Yeah, you can totally do it on the back, and people do it on the back all the time.
And then you can put the date and maybe an inventory number.
Yes.
And maybe the name of the painting.
Totally.
If you okay.
Yeah, I mean, some people put messages, and it depends if it's a print or an original, right? If it's an original, you'd probably want to be a little bit more careful to not write too much on the back, because depending on what quality canvas you're using. But again, there's specialized pens that are not going to ruin it for you. And I don't know what they are. We have a big Facebook group. I would just ask in the group. But yeah, that's what I'd say.
And then I was wondering, like, if years ago they used to put like a piece of cardboard with everything written down, and then it was glued to the back corner. Can you do something like that?
Yeah, you could do something like that too.
Okay.
Yeah. As long as they know the print is or the original or the print is authentic and it's from you, you're all good, right?
Okay.
Yeah. The only thing you have to worry about, Jana, is selling them. Don't worry about signing them. That part's easy.
I know, but I just didn't want to ruin them.
Yeah. Yeah, you won't. Don't worry.
Make the wrong mistake, at the beginning.
Yeah, don't worry. Don't worry. The only mistake is not working on selling. Everything else is the hard part. Yeah, and Pia said you can always use a dark pencil on the back of the canvas if you want to.
All right.
Yeah. Also a really good way to go. Yeah, thanks for that, Pia. Yep, I will. Ivona, well, we have somebody reach out to Andy too. He just sent me a direct message. Great question, Greg. So Greg's asking, how much inventory do you think we should show on your sites? How much is too much, not enough? Just enough is one, so you get started, right? And then each new additional one piece that you release becomes a marketing moment. If you've got a ton of inventory, like a good way to think about it is exactly that advice I was given to Andy earlier, is like replicate the settings that you'd have in a gallery, right? So how many pieces are in a gallery? Don't have too many more than that, right? Now some people, will order their websites in terms of like individual subject matter galleries. I'm a landscape photographer. Here's the Pacific Northwest. Here's the Southeast. So there's no hard and fast rule to that, Greg. But what I would advise is, like, you can always shrink it or increase it at any point in time, right? But too much is a thing, right? If I'm just like, I'm here, I'm there, what the heck is going on? It can be a little daunting. So a good way to think about it again is a gallery model. Like, what would a big gallery have in it? Like, 50 to 150 pieces of art. So there's a pretty good way to go. Pretty good way to think about it anyway. If you really had multiple galleries, you had 150 pictures of the Southwest, you had 150 pictures of the Pacific Northwest, you had 150 pictures of the Deep South. That's a fun way to go too. But again, just guidelines. You won't know until you get them all the way up there. Julio is asking who our filament vendors are. We use Bay Photo on the West Coast, and then we use a company called Graphic Dimensions that's on the East Coast. Sorry, got a text. All right. Did we cover it all? No more questions? Sorry, somebody in front of my house sending text. All right. I think we'll leave it there, guys. I'm going to send you guys the replay in a little bit. Again, huge sale ending end of the month. Then Mother's Day next month, which is a huge art selling holiday, and a great time to be able to have your stuff up, running, ready on the site, and cooking. So I would say, if you haven't seen a demo, go and see a demo. It will help you out significantly. You'll get to see all the bells and whistles, all the this, that's, and the others that we do, which is extremely helpful. And, between now and the end of the year is, or between now and the end of the month is like we have a killer deal going on. So that's what I would say. All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, two people just joined, and the person that was waiting for me outside is gone. So I can now finish the question. So George, I see you have a question on Facebook. What is it? Thanks, Kristen, for the kind words. For those of you guys that joined late, you pretty much missed it, but I will send you the replay regardless if you got into the Zoom. But if anybody's got some final questions, I will hang around for those. Just let me know. I feel like my voice is all scratchy today. All right, that's it. Okay. Well, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for coming. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll send you the replay. There will be some cool links in there. Anything that we talked about, the pyramid portion of the presentation, the Q&A portion of the presentation, and as well as some other this, that's, and the others. So thanks again, guys, for joining. Hope to see you on a future session or on the inside. And I also think you should really subscribe to our YouTube as well. We put out a ton of really, really good free content, a ton of live broadcast videos, interviews with artists and photographers, breaking down Instagram accounts, breaking down various different marketing techniques and tactics. So there's a ton of that going on. But thanks, guys. Thanks for coming. Thanks for attending. Appreciate you all, and hope you have all wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.